the 94th episode of CloudFocus Weekly for the second week of June 2012. This episode is titled, Check Out the MVP. CloudFocus Weekly is sponsored by Arkus, your cloud computing experts. I'm your host, Jason Atwood. Joining me is the co-host and the happiest man on the planet for the 94th time. He's shaking his head saying, why is he so happy? Why are you happy?
I don't know.
Because I can't give you crap about being an MVP anymore. So there's that.
You know, I found two things with the little, intro speech that you just did.
Yep.
It's an odd month. It's the second week, but we're recording this on the 7th. It's kind of an odd thing.
We go by business week. So
I don't know why I just noticed that. But
last week we recorded on a Friday. It was June.
Right.
You can't say it wasn't the first week of June because we were...
Yeah, we went first day of June last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is this the end of the first full week of June?
I guess. And the second thing was, I actually titled this one. I don't usually title the podcasts. And I titled it Check Out the MVP. Because we usually blur a couple of the stories in our agenda, and one of them is going to just briefly congratulate you for joining the ranks of the MVP community at Salesforce.
Wait a second. First of all, are you giving away our secret sauce and how we name our podcast?
I think people have realized this at this time.
Okay.
But the check out the MVP, we were going to talk about App Exchange checkout being live. We sort of scratched that from the agenda. So I'm going to mention it briefly just so the name makes sense.
So it doesn't look like you're really just trying to pull attention to the MVP part of it?
Yeah. So App Exchange checkout's live. Check it out.
Okay.
All right, done.
Yeah. So thank you to everybody, and a big thanks out to Zach, who I think nominated me. I think you nominated me once before.
I've nominated you before.
But
it was a failure.
Obviously, you had as much pull as nothing. So, yeah, I am an official. I got news this week. I'm an official member of the Salesforce MVP crew.
Welcome.
Yes.
We welcome you.
96 of them? Or is there more that there aren't in the portal?
There's 90 some odd of them. I think you pretty much have to be in the portal if you're going to be a Salesforce MVP.
Kind of.
Well, there's Salesforce MVPs. There's Force.com MVPs.
Right. Oh, there you go.
But yeah,
so
welcome aboard.
Why don't you explain the program?
Sure.
So I care about it now.
So, very briefly, it's a community of influencers, Salesforce users, Salesforce consultants, a lot of user group leaders, people who
bloggers.
Evangelize about the Salesforce and Force.com platform, bloggers, podcasters, people who are very active on Twitter.
Salesforce geeks.
Yeah. People active on Twitter, people very active on the ideas community, very active on the answers community.
Mm-hmm. Very active in Quora with the most answers in Quora. No.
Sure, maybe. But yeah, just people like you and I. And it's a 1-year thing. You're in the club for a year, and then you get renewed. I actually just got my renewal notice.
Congratulations for getting renewed.
So it's my second year of being in the program.
I could think of another, backslap. The podcast name could have been Backslapping Each Other for how awesome.
It could have been. Yeah, we can talk about this forever, but we thank Erica Cool, who runs the program.
Yes.
There's a MVP blog on the community, Salesforce community blog. You can check out the MVP section, what it means to be an MVP. Nominations come out seasonally, kind of with the Salesforce releases. So I think we're part of technically the spring class, even though it's more of the summer release. But
I mean, interesting. Just as a to break it away from the sort of us being in it, but it's an interesting way of taking basically embracing the community. And having us do their bidding. I mean, it's sort of, we are evangelists. We don't work for them. We don't work for Salesforce. And in fact, I'm sure nobody on the MVPs works for Salesforce. That's probably one of the rules.
There have been people who have been MVPs who then get hired at Salesforce, but then they're no longer MVPs.
Right, so it's an interesting way of doing it. I mean, is it, does it do its thing? Does it make you feel something towards the company more? Does it bring you into the fold? Does it do all that? Yeah, it does. It's a smart program. You see people put it on their logos. We've talked before about how we've seen people get hired because of this, like that you might get hired by companies that are dealing in this space. So it's an interesting thing. I must say, I had 5 job offers. to run 4 more podcasts.
Wow.
In fact, I was going to start another one called Just Us MVPs. No, just kidding. Anyway, so that's cool. Next up on the agenda, we didn't even do the agenda, but we'll just dig into it, was the blog post of du jour, which is the day, but of the week, which I don't know how to say in French.
Me neither.
So, which was the blog master spun his magic dial.
I did.
And around it went, and it popped up on me. It's actually much more organized than that. And this week,
so we'd like you to think.
Yeah. Because then you could win twice in a row, but you don't. And so the blog post this week was entitled Project Management with Chatter, which was a topic that, interesting, because I went back and I wrote the original post on why we built, I think the title was Why We Built a Custom Project Management App. And I've managed to, for years now, run hundreds of projects inside of Salesforce in a custom built app. It started from a Salesforce sort of installed package, but I'll say there's a remnant of it now. I mean, it is really, we built a lot of stuff into it, triggers and Visualforce stuff, and we basically monitor all our stuff in Salesforce. We eat our own dog food. But since Chatter's come out, we have embraced Chatter as part of the project cycle. And so as part of the using Chatter as a way of collaborating around a project, certainly a learning experience and certainly something that we haven't perfected. Sometimes I find, you hear me say this, it's like, sometimes I find it's like, you have a lot of places to go, but some of them aren't the right place. They don't feel like the right place to go with it, and sometimes email's still great and Chatter's still good, and sometimes IM is better, and now with Chatter Messenger, that's a whole nother place to go. But basically we have a couple things that we do, and one of them is really using it for project statuses. So we put our project status notes in Chatter as we do them, and it gives people who are following the project basically stay in touch. And it reminds me of when I worked for that big company, how we used to get together, and we were making this joke today, how we used to get together every other week and go through these Excel documents that I think someone spent probably half their life updating.
I think they were PowerPoint slides.
No, they were
Each
Excel.
one was a slide.
Really?
I think it might have been Excel pasted onto a PowerPoint
and then printed
slide.
And faxed somebody.
Yeah.
And then rescanned in.
Right.
Anyway, it was and I just remember it so very vividly. They had these statuses for the projects, like red, green, blue, red, green, good, bad, ugly, whatever it was. And I remember almost all the time these projects would be in red, like horrible, right? Which is supposed to be like everybody, man on deck, here we go. And we just go over them and go, oh, project's on red. Okay, next project. It was like nothing to do about it. Anyway, but so we use Chatter, and I think, we like it. I mean, we like using Chatter. It's a good use case. Sales is an easy use case. Customer management support is an easy use case. We get tickets from our 2 products, but we don't get a ton. Good, because they're well done. And so we don't use that a lot. But projects, it's sort of the core of what we do.
Yeah.
So
it's part of our process to every time a new project spun up, everybody follows every project. It's one of those things with Chatter, like what to follow, what not to follow, who to follow. Well, we follow each other, sure, but projects is one of those objects that any new active project, I immediately follow it.
Right. You should, and if I see someone isn't following, I'll mention to them.
I'll mention them. Hey, you should. I created this today. You should follow it.
It's some of the features that I'd like to see, like auto following and auto unfollowing. Love to see that. I know there's an auto unfollow package. We tried it. It just didn't work.
It'd be nice if you could just configure that declaratively.
Right.
Like you can write triggers and things. I'd love for workflow rules to be able to allow me to just say, whenever a new project is created, this group of people should follow it or something along those lines. And then when the status changes to archive, in our case, unfollow it.
Right.
Easy.
Same thing.
Done.
We track all our invoices.
I want to declaratively do that.
And same thing. Close lost. I don't want to follow things that are close lost anymore.
Me neither.
Or close one even. Close one I don't want to follow anymore.
I make it like a weekly or bi-weekly task to go through all the list views of things that I don't care about anymore, like things paid, closed, archive, and just unfollow things. Yep. So it's kind of a odd task to have to do.
To unfollow stuff.
I mean, if the following limit was, greater than 500, and it was like closer to 2,500 or 5,000 or something like that,
I wouldn't care.
I wouldn't care at all because nothing happens on those things anyway. So what? So I'm following them. Who cares? Right. But because I have to actually keep an eye on that limit, which is crazy because our org doesn't have that many people or data or much data in it. I can't imagine how the Salesforce mothership, org with all those users and all that sales activity, I can't imagine how they function with the 500 limit. Right. Wouldn't you think that Benioff wants to follow more than 500 users?
It's Sophie's choice. And I assume that
maybe they use groups really well.
I think they probably upped things a lot too. My guess is, we've heard the rumor that it's, I don't even have to rumorville. I know that they're going to be upping that eventually, right? It was a limitation to save themselves because it's a lot of processing power. I hit it up. Well, speaking of which, was a good segue. So go to blog.arkusinc.com to read the latest blog post.
I know where you hit it. You hit it in the Dreamforce app.
So as I was following a bunch of new people, I hit it and I went, wow, oh, there you go. And I went back and had to unfollow some people. Actually, unfollowed Sassy and what was the other one? Chatty. I unfollowed Chassis and I was like, yeah, I'm not following new people anymore. Interesting enough, I see a lot of duplicate people, so people who I guess are in twice.
There's an issue with the app that, if you move companies, you basically have to have a second user. Like you lose your first user. There's something about the email address. Like you can't just change it.
Username or
login.
Or
there's something with it that you can't. You can't just change your email address in the org. So you essentially, if you move companies, you have to create a brand new user, and you lose all those things that you were following and all your followers, etc.
Speaking of Dreamforce, just a little bit of news, and then we'll get into some hard-hitting news. We got our booth for this year. So, I think from time to time we like to bring in a little bit of what's Arkus up to. We went through the sweepstakes of trying to get a booth, which is, again, I joked last year, and I've joked many times, I've never seen a bunch of grown men working business people running down the halls of the Moscone Center ready to give someone these huge checks. Like, please take my money. I'm going to run to you to give. Like, most places, if you go, you're going to spend that kind of money. They come to you. If you go to a restaurant and we're going to very fancy restaurant, you don't have to run to get in line. Like, they'll come to you. But anyway, but part of that process was that the earlier you get your contract signed, and basically signed it last year in August, the booth selection you get earlier pick, which is the reason that you do it. So we got a very good pick. So we're in booth 334.
It's a really good booth. I'm excited about it. We sat there, we agonized over it. You and I sat in front of the selector screen and did some analysis as we are known to do, and selected.
People should know that we spend that much time.
We selected, I think, the ideal location.
I think we got the best booth.
I really do.
I'm just saying.
I really agree with that.
So
when you told me the number we got, I was ecstatic.
I know. I literally told you immediately because I thought you'd be excited. So anyway, come visit us in 4 months at booth 334. I'm sure we'll mention it before.
We'll be designing it until then.
Interesting enough. It's all the booth designs are different this year. They're very different from last year. So as we get closer, I'll ask what I can do about stuff. Again, I think it'd be interesting for people. They might want to see how that process goes, like how we design the booth, and maybe we can share that. I don't know if we can share it. Maybe we can share it on the blog. Maybe we can do a blog post about, prepping for a Dreamforce, a sponsor prepping.
Sounds
for
like
Dreamforce.
A good one.
There you go. So anyway, there we is, and there we will be.
What's next?
Google.
What did they do?
They bought somebody. They bought QuickOffice.
What is QuickOffice?
So QuickOffice is an app for the iPhone and iPad.
Okay.
That is basically the competitor to the one, like if you go into search for Google Docs, you want to get offline viewing, there's two that come up. The one you mentioned the other week.
My app pick of the week.
GoDocs.
Pretty nice app.
And used. Little on the, it's nice. It's just you can see that the people who don't have style. It's functional, but it doesn't have style.
Yeah, I don't like the folder thing that it does.
Yeah.
But
other than that,
it works.
And the other one is this app, QuickOffice.
Yep.
So, but interesting that, for us who use Google Docs a lot, interesting to see them go down a path of buying out these, there's always been this thing. I guess this actually could spin into what we forgot to put on the agenda, which is sort of the mapping war now, which is that there's a lot of articles pointing to a split up between Google and Apple that had a relationship, have been buds for a long time, but they're starting to get more and more into each other's face. And it started with, as Steve Jobs I think said, R.I.P., as he said, we didn't get into the search business; they got into the phone business. It's kind of true. Google was not in any kind of mobile phone business or mobile operating system business, and yet they did. So now it's getting more and more sort of they're crossing. Apple is supposedly going to release their entirely own mapping system, and Google just announced 2 days ago that they have their own new cool 3D mapping. So there's a new mapping war going on.
Mapping, huh?
Maps. And
where's Bing in this whole situation? Where's MapQuest?
Yeah, I don't know. Nowhere. Do you honestly ever go to MapQuest anymore?
I haven't gone there in the longest time. It was so funny. I play softball on Sunday mornings, and we were playing at a field that we never played at before, and I play in Queens, and this one was sort of in Brooklyn, and it was a place I couldn't even find it. So someone was like, someone on the email thread sent the directions from his house to it, and he said, oh, these are the Google ones, but you might want to MapQuest it. They might have different. And I was like, no, I don't think I will.
I would never MapQuest
I think you just sent me what I needed. Thank you very much, sir.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think the interesting piece, and again, we're kind of going off on a rabbit hole here.
Where did this start? This was all about QuickOffice. Now we're talking about
because
maps.
Because I had actually forgotten about it, and it's actually it's a bigger thing because they're talking about this divorce between these two big companies.
Wasn't this Google? We talked about this a couple months back, where Google is going to be charging now for the usage of their mapping API. So the iPhone or the iOS platform, they were going to migrate away from, they always, the big thing when they came out, right, they were like, it's Google's mapping API with our beautiful presentation on top of it. Now I guess they're gonna go to their own beautiful maps with their own beautiful presentation on top of it.
It's one of those things that you just think about in terms of division of labor. Why should two companies be building two separate map?
The core of it should be the same.
The data is the data.
That's a commodity. That should not be. That should not be. Fine. The features and the functions the presentation of it, fine. But the actual data, I mean, come on. I mean, I guess Google does go through a lot, right? They did the whole Street View thing. That's a lot of work to drive around with the cameras and do all that stuff.
They're doing a hiking one where they're actually gonna. They have a backpack cam, and they're going to map.
Cool.
I mean,
remember we were talking about the Amazon River? I mean, they do some, and that's expensive stuff. That's pretty neat. But just to bring this back to this QuickOffice thing,
sure.
And what I'm reading about it is that this is really a way to handle Office documents. So editing, viewing, doc, PDF, or not PDF, PPT, XLS, things of that nature.
Yep.
So this more than likely ties into the Google Drive offering. Right. So you're not necessarily editing a Google Doc, you're editing a doc that happens to be sitting on the Google Drive using this application, perhaps?
Yep. Yeah.
That was question mark at the end of that.
It was a question mark?
Yeah.
Answer?
That certainly sounds like where it's going, no?
I think Google wants to get into this. I just find it interesting that they're crossing over. They will rely upon each other, and this is so. Google has their own cloud offering. Apple does. I was just going to go back to the Maps thing for a bit. Maybe I'm obsessed. The one thing is, Apple can build the most amazing mapping system that's on the iOS, iPhone, iPad. But at the end of the day, I do most of my mapping on, when I'm looking for a hotel, or I'm doing it online. So unless they then build a web version of it, I mean, that's really where I get the tie in. Is when I'm searching for something, I search for a hotel, then I go to the Street View, then the one on the iOS. So I have an allegiance to them because I'm using them more. No, we'll see how.
I'm actually.
You're the opposite.
Yeah, I use Maps more on the phone because I don't, like you, I don't have GPS or navigation in my car, so I use it to get me places. Like, I don't really ask people, and I don't think anybody does anymore, like, tell me how to get to your house.
No.
It's give me your address.
Right.
It's don't tell me how to get there.
Just tell me if it's not in Google.
Yeah, like, tell me if, like, if there's, like, a gas station or something that I need to look out for to make a left at. But other than that, you know, I just want your address. And I use my phone quite a bit for that purpose alone, the mapping. And to be honest, if Apple were to come out with their own mapping system on the phone, fine, just as long as it has everywhere that I need to go be there. Like, if it doesn't have, like, you know, Google's got the subway stuff handled. They've got the mass transit. They've got the walking routes. They've got all this stuff handled.
Traffic.
They got the traffic. Like, they better have all that stuff. Right. And I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to Apple's online web browser-based map thing. I'm using Google's.
Right.
I don't... Bing might be better than Google search. I don't care. Like,
You're in.
I'm in. I use Google to search for things. So I'm going to search into that one box for a thing or a place.
Right.
And Google's going to find it, whether it's a thing, it's going to find me that thing, like a Salesforce formula or something, or a place. It's going to know.
Right.
It's a map. I don't think Apple can they don't have something to handle that. I'd have to go somewhere specific instead of, like, just typing something into my browser bar.
Well, they own the browser. So
well, they don't. They own a browser.
They own the browser you're using on your mobile platform.
On the mobile platform, sure. But again, that's just opening the map application.
Right.
That's a different story. I'm talking about my laptop.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, sure, they could make Apple's... I mean, they couldn't really even do that. Like, in Safari, they couldn't just change the search box to use Apple Search. There's no such thing.
Right.
So I don't know what they're going to do there. Maybe they'll use, I dare say, Bing or MapQuest or somebody else's mapping API or whatever.
I don't know.
Google's got a lot invested, that traffic thing. I don't know how we got there, but...
Speaking of investing a lot...
Yeah, speaking of.
Google has nothing to do with this next story. How was that? It was good, right?
That was great.
Salesforce buys Buddy Media. So we discussed this. It was a rumor. It felt like it was true. And guess what? It's true.
It is.
There was rumors that came out. There was 800 million. There was 700 something million. There's now
689.
689 for low prices.
Cash and stocks and all sorts of fun things in between.
For those who missed the last podcast, Buddy Media is a Facebook management application. So for managing your Facebook presence, and again, I think we talked about this a little bit about how that, you know, what that would mean and who would that be useful for. You know, corporations with many social media places that want to manage them, again, post things up, manage who's talking on it. Basically, without having to go into Facebook and do it from there, you could do it from your own place and basically do the measurements and all that other stuff. So that's what Buddy Media does, and they bought them. So, interesting story.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, really?
Go on.
At this point, 94 episodes in, you can say go ahead.
Go on.
I actually spoke to someone the other day at a local event. This really ties in, and they said, "What do you do?" And I said, "Oh, you know." I
usually say nothing.
I say Salesforce, and he goes, "Oh, they just bought Buddy Media," and I was like,
"Whoa,
yeah." And I said,
"How do you know that?"
Yeah, well, he apparently has a buddy who works for Buddy Media, or one of the people, like first 20 in or something. And he said, "Oh yeah," and he says, when they integrate that into Salesforce, come talk to me. I'm really interested. I know. So this is a good story. So I was like, okay, I'll come talk to you in a year and a half when Dreamforce 13, when they announce it, when it actually rolls out. I mean, so, you know, so I guess there's an article here that we kind of referenced, but on Fool.com, Motley Fool, talking about is it a good idea? Now, Motley Fool's really talking more about, you know, shares and share prices and investing.
Things of that nature.
You know, now that you've had a little bit more chance to read up on it, from the technical side or from the product mix, thoughts?
I'm going to just read the headline of this article.
Okay. Sounds good.
To preface my thoughts.
CloudFocus Weekly, for people who don't want to read articles.
Salesforce strays from core competency and dabbles in social media.
Okay.
A lot of strong words there.
I disagree with a lot of those.
I don't think they're dabbling. I think they're all in.
They're all in.
They're all in.
Chips across the table.
Yeah. They're going all in.
All in.
And they're redefining their core. So they're not straying from their core. They're redefining their core as we speak.
Right.
Now, we can discuss if we agree or disagree with the fact that they're redefining their core and moving from CRM to, platform to social platform and what that really means. But, I think they're stuck in the innovator's dilemma. I'm sure you've heard of this book. If not, you've read it.
I have not.
You should read it. The Innovator's Dilemma. I had to just go read up on who it was by. Clayton Christensen. I've read this book. And essentially, to boil it down very simply, you're a young company, you create a product, you make a bunch of money on this product. When is it time to take a hard left or a hard right and continue innovating?
Right.
Sort of neglecting your cash cow that's brought you all this, that's allowed you to do what you're taking this sharp right. And when do you make that decision? When's the right time? And I feel like they're in that dilemma right now. But they're moving. They're not sort of standing pat. Leadership at the very top. Mark Benioff is saying social is the future. Mobile, social, cloud, we're doing it. But we're going to collect the assets to be able to. We've been painting this picture for a year and a half. We haven't been able to really deliver on this picture.
Wow, that's some strong words.
Well, it's true. We've been drawing the horseshoe.
Right?
The three-pronged, the horseshoe thing, the customer, the internal, the product.
Right.
They're acquiring the assets to actually be able to deliver on this horseshoe. Now, when they talked about Force.com as platform as a service, was it really truly an enterprise platform at that point? One could argue it wasn't.
Right.
Couldn't handle, couldn't scale,
right.
Couldn't do a lot of things. And now it's getting there.
Right.
And it's years later.
Yeah.
It's like 4 or 5 years later. So this whole vision of this horseshoe thing is going to take a while, but they're collecting the assets and, to me, redefining the core of what they are as we are watching this unfold.
Yeah, and I think they're always tying it back into what their core is, and I think that's what's interesting, is because they're not just saying social is cool, we're going to go build a social enterprise, we're going to go build a social site. That's not what they're doing. They're saying social is the way that people are doing business.
Right.
And we're going to give you the tools as a business or an organization that allow you to connect, because CRM silos are going away. What we did is going away. Everybody having their own contact in a contact database, in your Acts, in your gold mines, even in your old Salesforces. That's going away. Connected, social, data.com, having where other people are updating data, where data is flowing freely between these multiple places, and then you might be augmenting that data in your instance of it, but just having this sort of your contact that you put in, and that's the phone number that that kind of theory is going away, because we have these places where people are publishing all their stuff, and people want to be engaged.
What are their likes and dislikes list, right? We need the groupings of hunters and fishermen.
Right.
Well, they'll tell you.
Right.
They're telling their friends.
So again, I think this is more of, and I said this last week, so don't listen to that podcast, but was really more about they want to build the platform to manage this social world, right? Radiant 6 is about monitoring. This is about management, right? The Twitter pieces, even though they're just pieces, are more about monitoring and interacting, right? So it's about taking in and giving back. Are they well done? Whatever discussion, but whatever. Another day. But that's what it's sort of saying. It's like you're still going to sit inside your org. You still log into Salesforce. But then you're going to be able to use the tools within to pull in and push things and do it on a bigger scale than just going to each individual tool, because you want to manage it from a hub inside. You want to have your console. Again, that's the view. The reality is ways away, because right now, Radiant 6 doesn't integrate with Salesforce. Salesforce social contacts and social leads are light at best. Great, but light. The Twitter one, the App Exchange package is okay, but it's hefty and it doesn't really do kind of what that thing that they always say. It's not automated. It doesn't do it on batch, whatever. So I'm like, I can see the vision coming together. This is just another tool for that. You know, it's almost like Siteforce. They're saying, hey, listen, Siteforce is great, but guess what? People don't build sites anymore. You know what they build? Facebook pages and Twitter profiles. That's what they do now. So anyway, that's a long way of coming around to saying that I'm excited. I mean, I just know that's a big splash of Dreamforce. Can't wait to see it. And
can't wait to see it and not play with it for a year.
Probably not. Next up in our last story is kind of interesting.
Kind of a downer.
Only because I predicted it.
This is a Debbie Downer to end the show.
Yeah, it is a little bit. So back in just looking at the date here when I wrote it.
You found the blog post?
Yeah. So
I think it was for 2012, right?
Yep. Number 5 on my 5 prediction or cloud computing prediction for 2012. Number 5. Huge privacy attack and backlash. The golden years of social networking will end in 2012 as multiple social networks will be targeted and successfully attacked, exposing millions of points of private data.
Ooh. You were sort of...
Nostradamus. Jason Damas.
A little over... You know, that's
it's
a little
halfway
much.
Through the year. Wait, halfway through the year. I got another 6 months.
Okay, so LinkedIn was hacked. And apparently 6.5 million passwords were leaked.
Yep.
Hacked and leaked by a was it Russian or Norwegian?
I think it was Russian.
Yeah. Anyway, LinkedIn hasn't, as of the date of when I was looking at this yesterday, LinkedIn hasn't offered any statements. They did tweet They tweeted a few things that their team continues to investigate, but at this time still unable to confirm anything. So let's
basically
go to their
file,
go to their little LinkedIn thing here.
Basically, the file for these 6 million things.
There's another update. Here we go.
Yep.
This was from yesterday. So, so they've sort of gone ahead and proactively, you know, anybody whose accounts were associated with compromised passwords, they can no longer log in. Their password pretty much been changed, I guess.
Okay.
So go check if you can log into LinkedIn.
Yeah, don't download those apps.
Yeah, don't do any apps. Don't click any links from anywhere. Just go to LinkedIn and log in. If you can log in, great. You're fine.
Yep.
If you can't log in, okay, then you know something bad might happen. You'll also receive an email from LinkedIn with instructions on how to reset your password. There will not be any links in that email.
Oh, really? They're saying
LinkedIn
that?
is saying that.
Nice.
So if you get an email from LinkedIn with links to change your email, don't click those links because those are no good.
It's the one without the links.
It's the one without the links.
The linkless LinkedIn
That's
email.
what you want. The linkless LinkedIn email.
Not the one with the links.
You'll get a second email from customer support providing a bit more context on the whole situation. So you'll get pretty much 2 emails. So they're apologizing. They take your security very seriously, and we're sorry.
We're sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, it's bound to happen. I always think as I connect up these social networks and do stuff like that, I'm always thinking, oh, wow, should I be, should be doing this or doing that? And especially all those times like log in with your Twitter. And I always think, like, is there a barrier between all these places that I log in with my Twitter that if I log into my Twitter with one of these places, it's going to be able to bounce between 3 other places? I don't know. I don't think that's the way it works. I know that OAuth is a little bit stronger than that, but, like...
It didn't seem to really hurt their stock price.
There you go.
I'm looking at it, and
look at you, someone who used to work in financial services.
It really didn't even affect it one bit.
So on a side note,
kind of weird. You'd think it would. It's a public company.
On a side note, I'm going to give you the second boo to LinkedIn. This is before they got hacked.
Oh, I thought you were booing me.
No,
Why would you boo me?
I got the note from them saying, "Would you like to upgrade to premium for free for a month?"
Freemium.
So I was like, "Sure."
Like LinkedIn Premium?
Yeah, I mean, LinkedIn Premium. I'm like, oh, you know what? I have always wanted to see what that looks like.
Yeah.
But it's always been you gotta pay.
I'm not gonna pay.
I put in the credit card, and I've already put in my OmniFocus to cancel within the next 30 days. But, so I'm like, all right, let me go check it out.
What do you get?
It doesn't matter. All the stuff they tell you on the website. But here's where what's the next thing? If you got premium, what's the next thing you would do?
I want the Salesforce deal.
And you say, I'm paying $49 a month now.
Whoa, premium's $49.99 a month?
A month.
Wow.
And then you go click on the Salesforce thing, and you know what it tells you?
Well, you got to pay for that app.
That's different.
It's a different app.
That's $30 on top of the premium.
How do you think LinkedIn's making money? That's why their stock price didn't go down.
Wait a second. I have premium, but this thing's not included in premium?
It's a different thing. It's Salesforce. You don't manage your Salesforce, Mr. Salesforce user. Mr. Salesforce user, you don't get to do that.
Why would I not get that if in premium?
No, you don't get that. It's a whole different app.
I tweeted the other day. I was like, really? Almost $80 if I want to have both? Like,
what did LinkedIn say?
No,
did they get back to you? They're not listening.
They're not listening. You know why? Because their passwords got
they were busy.
All
they
right.
were busy figuring out how to fix that issue.
I was a little bit just surprised. Like, if you buy the $50 a month thing, you would think that the Salesforce connector thing would be included. Yeah.
I don't know.
No.
I don't actually know how the pricing for that Salesforce thing works, if it's user by user, if it's org-wide. It must be org-wide.
Do me a... no, it's not. It's user by user. Go in and do me a favor. Go into an org, one of the many you can go...
Can I go into our org?
Sure.
Okay.
And go click on that thing.
Click on what thing?
The thing that says...
The LinkedIn thing?
Yeah, upgrade to LinkedIn for Salesforce. See what happens to you.
LinkedIn, upgrade. I get bounced out to LinkedIn.
And what's at the top?
There was an unexpected error that prevented us from completing your... I can't even upgrade if I want to.
I've been doing this for weeks now, and I can't figure it out.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
I was going to say a bad word, but then I decided not to.
We're not explicit.
That's no good.
Anyway. All right, so let's go on to our cloud. Let's pick some good things. Let's pick... I think I've picked your pick.
No, you haven't.
Do you search?
No, but I don't think you have. I'm picking it for a specific purpose.
The one that I showed you the other day? Anyway, let's go.
CloudFocus
app pick of the week. You go first.
There's a reason why I'm picking this. I'm picking Adobe Reader for iOS.
Okay.
So we were sitting somewhere and we had this. Someone needed to do this specific use case, and then I needed to do it like a week later, and I remembered, if I just get that app. So I had a PDF on my phone that I was able to open somewhere. It was like off of a website or something, and I needed to email it to somebody.
Yep.
But if you just open the PDF, it doesn't have that option.
Right.
In like the standard,
it has
whatever the thing is that opens it.
Well, that's the thing. If you're in Safari, it opens up in Safari and gives you the link to open somewhere else.
Right.
If you're in Mail, it just gives you the same thing and says, "Do you want to open this somewhere else?" It doesn't say. You're not actually opening it in anything.
Right.
It's giving the option
I needed
to move
it to open it somewhere that I can then email it.
Right.
Because I really just need to email it.
Right.
So that was my use case. I had a PDF. I needed to email it.
Yes.
And I was on my phone.
And you had seen me show
the other person how to do this. So I'm letting everyone else in on the wisdom that if you need to do this, you can download. I'm sure there's so many others. But the Adobe Reader for iOS, it's pretty good PDF reader. It's Adobe. It's PDF. It's got to be.
And it's free.
It's free. No dollars. And a simple use case. You got a PDF on your mobile device, your iPhone, your iPad, and you need to send it to somebody. Open it in Adobe Reader. There's an option to email it. It composes an email for you. You hit send. It goes. It's a beautiful thing.
Yep.
As Mark Madrid would say.
As Mark would say. I have been using it since it came out. It is... the only thing that when you start to do that, what you realize is, then it has a copy. Like, I open up...
Yes, it does keep a copy in it.
It has a nice reading ability. Like, I find reading PDFs in iBooks, and I also read them in Kindle, and I read them in this. I find that it's hard to, like... You get so used to negotiating, like, an iBook or a Kindle, and, like, how easy it is to negotiate. Then you get to a PDF, and you start to, like, try to swipe and move, and you're like, it just doesn't... It's, like, stopping me from doing the thing I want. This reader is very good. It also allows you to sign. You can sign documents right in the reader.
I noticed that.
So things like... So it's interesting because I think I picked PDF Pen for the iOS. You picked PDF Pen for the Mac. I picked PDF Pen for the iOS. And since I bought it, I haven't really used it because now all these apps are coming out sort of with the free versions. But now when I open up a PDF, it gives me like 17 places you want to open up. You want to open up PDF Pen? Do you want to open up in Go Docs? Do you want to open it up in iBooks? Whatever. Yeah, it's a good one. Adobe Reader for iOS. All right, so my pick of the week is... Oh, so yours is Adobe Reader for iOS by
free.
Adobe.
No dollars.
Free. Mine is a high-priced item.
Oh, this is where that screenshot came from.
Yes,
that you showed me the other day.
I almost thought that you might not.
No, I was like, oh, where'd that come from? He'll tell me.
Yep. So we've talked about Twitter.
Yes.
We like this place called Twitter, and we spend some time on it. And the other day I was reading some article, and someone had a new review of a new Twitter client, and I was like, I'm always looking for the new Twitter clients, always. And there's two things that get me to almost instantly purchase. And you know what they are?
Less than $1.
And?
I don't know what that second one is.
Universal.
If
it's Universal and less than $1, I will. That's it. Just put out an app and I'll buy it. Universal and less than $1.
Put out a picture of your face.
Yes,
as an
much.
app, and Jason.
So anyway, I'm going to walk it over here and show it to you.
See.
First things first. It's for iOS, for the iPad and iPhone and whatever. It's universal. What's nice is it reads from your accounts that are on your iPad. So if you've taken the time to put them into the iOS,
right,
then it has all your accounts built in, and you can jump
as it should.
You can jump from account to account.
It's faster than the Twitter app.
It is faster than Twitter, and it comes right up when you pick it. It's got this sort of navigation on the side and whatever. What I love though is it's got this slider on the side.
Timeline slider.
That tells you when things have been done. You can kind of slide in and out.
I like it.
And I love this conversation view that you can go in to see conversations. So
it's like a comment thread.
All of you at home are seeing this, I'm sure. It's just got some nice little features. It's like just well done. Is it, does it break a new ground of whatever? Here's one else that I like about it. It does like a picture view. So if people posting pictures, it kind of creates kind of a photo album. So you're of only pictures, and you can scroll through and see what people are posting as pictures. Kind of fun, like a neat little.
That one's kind of cool.
Neat picture, yes.
That's a good picture.
So
I'm clicking on your pictures.
Yeah, you're clicking on pictures.
Twitter logo upside down. It's Batman. Oh wow, that's pretty good.
That is good. So anyway, it's called Quip. I haven't even told you what it was. It's called Quip. QUIP. Is 99 cents. It's got some nice features. It's got a nice way of looking at it.
I think I'll be downloading this.
I have not found the perfect one yet, but this is close. This is getting real close. And I love the big pictures now. People putting like nice pictures in.
That's where you were showing me my picture from.
Yes, that's where I saw how your picture was scrunched, and I had you redo it. So Quip for the iOS at iTunes.apple.com. The links will be in the show notes. And there you go. All right, well, that wraps us up for this week of CloudFocus Weekly. Go to blog.arkusinc.com, of course. All the podcasts are there. Everyone's all the way back to episode number 1. And all the blog posts. I said blog posts twice, didn't I? Podcasts and blog posts. They're both there. You can follow the company at twitter.com/arkusinc and our road to DF12, including our booth selection process. I'm at twitter.com/JasonMAtwood. Justin's at twitter.com/JustEdelstein. We're both in the Dreamforce portal, so there's another place you want to connect. I'm not going to tell you how to get there because I have no idea. You just go in there and search for us. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/ArkusInc. We're on Google+. And, of course, if you're subscribing to the podcast, always go to iTunes or use one of the apps that we've picked. I've actually started using different apps.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Justin Withers would be upset to hear that you are not using Instacast. Go Instacast.
I've tried a couple now.
Oh yeah.
I think I put it for the blog post, or maybe I didn't put it in yet. But I was like, I think I should do a podcast like face off.
I've noticed a few on the when I'm looking at apps and such, and I just don't care.
Yeah, a couple of them have what I love about apps: Universal and 99 cents, and that gets me to try. Anyway, until next week. Thanks for joining us. We will see you on a much less cloudy day. Until then, and as always, enjoy those cloudy days.